My name is lesfleursdelanuit. I'm a photographer who specializes in macro photography and artistic editing. This is the 7th part of a multi-part tutorial that shows you how to create a dreamy minimalistic edit. In this tutorial, we will continue doing color toning. We'll use a hue saturation adjustment layer and then do some more color toning with gradient map adjustment layers. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to cover another adjustment layer for color toning in Photoshop. This is the most obvious adjustment layer for color toning. We're going to cover the hue saturation adjustment layer. As always, we'll briefly discuss how it works and then we will apply it. Now let's add a hue saturation layer to our document. To do so, let's go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Hue Saturation. In this window that pops up where it says Name, enter Flower Tone and press OK. As with the Selective Color Adjustment layer, the Hue Saturation Adjustment layer allows you to target particular color ranges. That is, it allows you to target the reds or the parts of your document that appear red. It allows you to target the yellows or the parts of your document that appear yellow. It allows you to target the greens or parts of your document that appear green, and so on. The difference between this, that is the difference between the hue saturation adjustment layer and between the selective color adjustment layer, is that with the selective color adjustment layer, you're adjusting the mixture that goes into that color range. So you're adjusting the mixture that goes into yellows, and you're adjusting the mixture that goes into reds, and so on. With the hue saturation adjustment layer, what you're adjusting is the hue, saturation, and the lightness. It's very straightforward, so we're just going to go ahead and apply it. As the name of our layer suggests, what we want to do with this layer is adjust the color of the flowers a little bit. So we're going to target the cyan. We're going to select cyan from here. We want to increase the saturation of the cyan. We're going to change the saturation value to positive 23. We also want to make them paler. So we're going to adjust the lightness, and we're going to change that to positive 17. Now we're going to adjust the blues. We're going to select blues from here. And we're going to do something counterintuitive here. We're actually going to decrease the saturation of the blues. So we're going to set the saturation of blues to negative 28. So now let's move on. We are going to continue to play with the tone of the flowers. Now we're going to apply another gradient map adjustment layer. So let's do that. We go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Gradient Map, call this Flower Tone number 2, and press OK. So for this gradient map, we're going to use this one right here. So we only want to apply the effects of this adjustment layer to the flower. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a mask. In this case, we want to select everything but the flowers, because we want the adjustment layer to affect only the flowers. So what we're going to do is actually load our previous selection of the flowers. We're going to go to Select, Load Selection. Versus Channel, we're going to click, and we're going to select Flowers. Now we're going to check Invert. This will select everything but the flowers. Now we're going to press OK. We're going to ensure that our mask is selected. We're also going to ensure that the background color here is set to black. Now we're going to press Delete. So now our adjustment layer is only going to affect the flower. Let's deselect the selection. As I've said before, we now want to adjust the blending modes. The two blending modes that we're interested in when we're working with gradient map adjustment layers are the overlay blending mode and the soft light blending mode. Let's try both. Let's try overlay. That looks intense as is right now, but we're actually going to apply it really subtly. And I would say that we're actually going to go with overlay this time. And it's because both of these blending modes obscure details. So since we're going to fade it a lot anyway, that is, we're going to adjust the opacity really low a lot anyway, we're just going to go with overlay. What we're going to do is we're going to set the opacity to 11%. Now, there's actually a lot of lovely green in this gradient, and I want to add that into the gold in my background, but I do not want to add it heavily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fade the actual mask. That is, I'm going to fade the black part of the mask. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Properties. I'm going to make sure this is selected. That's going to allow us to adjust the layer mask and not the properties of the adjustment layer. So once again, we're going to select this. And we're going to adjust density. We're going to set the value of density to 25. So now the adjustment layer is being applied to the background as well, but at an actual lower opacity than it is to the flower. So we're going to add yet another gradient map adjustment layer. As I said, the way to use gradient map adjustment layers effectively is to apply many of them, but to apply them at relatively low opacity. So the one that we're going to add now is supposed to affect the background. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Gradient Map. We'll call this gradient map, we'll call it background tone. Press OK. Now we're going to select the following gradient, this one right here. We want to add some more oranges into our background. We want to isolate the effects of the adjustment layer to the background only. So we're going to load our selection that we made of the flowers. We're going to make sure that our mask is selected, which it is. We're going to go to Select, Load Selection, Flowers. We're going to press OK. This time we did not check invert because we actually want to use the flowers. So once again, we want to make sure that the black is in the background here. And then we're going to press Delete. And now we're going to set our opacity to 18%. And our blend mode to soft light. We're going to deselect. And then we're going to go in and soften the edges of our mask like we did before. Once again, we're going to select the brush tool. We're going to make sure that the color of our brush is black. And we're going to make sure we're working with a soft brush by making sure that the hardness is 0%. So let's go in and soften the edges. We're going to do this really quickly as to not take up too much time unnecessarily. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to NVIDIA's channel for more videos like this.